Chosen one, the message you're about to receive didn't find you by accident. This moment was etched into the divine timeline long before you even took your first breath. Before your name was spoken on earth, it was whispered in heaven. That's how sacred this is. You didn't stumble upon this message, it was sent to you, timed perfectly, aligned exactly. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. What you're feeling right now, that stirring in your spirit, it's the sound of prophecy waking up inside you. You've heard messages before, but this one feels different, doesn't it? That's because you're not just hearing these words with your ears. You're remembering them with your soul. These words were already written into your DNA, waiting for this exact moment to be unlocked. You are not ordinary. You never were. You are the one in your bloodline who was destined to break the cycle. You're not living just any life. You're fulfilling a sacred calling that has been delayed for centuries. Do you feel it? That echo of something ancient rising from deep within you. That's the sound of spiritual memory returning. Because once every 1,000 years, a soul is born not to run from darkness, but to rise through it. You are that soul, the first in 1,000 years not to shrink, not to be silenced, not to bow to fear, but to stand and ascend. For generations your ancestors carried power they were never allowed to use. They were misunderstood, rejected, scattered, their light dimmed, their fire buried beneath shame, trauma, and silence. But in you, that fire has been reignited. You are the one who remembers, the one who answers. And if you feel that truth, if something unexplainable inside you is lighting up right now, type 777 in the comments. That number isn't just a sequence, it's a divine code, a spiritual signal that you're aligned with the Most High and ready to receive the inheritance that was always meant for you. You are not watching this just for inspiration. You are here to awaken. To everyone who has given through super thanks, we see you. We thank you deeply. Your support is not just appreciated, it's honored. You are part of the mission to awaken other chosen ones, and we bless you for it. And to every viewer, whether you gave or simply showed up, thank you. You are part of something that transcends space and time. This is your sign that heaven is drawing near, and your rise is no longer a maybe. It is happening now. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this message. This is more than just a video. It's a divine revelation, and it's meant to be passed on to those who are ready. Stay until the very end. Not everyone will. Only those who are truly chosen will feel the pull to keep going, to hear every word, to let the Spirit speak directly to their destiny. And trust me, by the time we reach the end, something inside you will have changed. You'll see clearer, stand taller. You'll know that this isn't the beginning of a video, it's the return of your true self. Now, are you ready? Let's begin. God's chosen ones, you're the first in 1,000 years to rise, not run. The ancient pulse never begins with thunder or applause. It starts in stillness, in the invisible corners of your life where something begins to stir. You can't explain it, but you feel it. A sacred restlessness, a yearning that has no name. No matter where you go, there's a quiet voice reminding you that you don't truly belong to this world. Have you ever wondered why you feel out of place, even in the most familiar places? Why does your spirit crave silence while the world worships noise? While others chase fast pleasures and shallow pursuits, you feel everything, deeply, painfully, beautifully. The surface doesn't satisfy you. The masks people wear feel unbearable to watch. The small talk, the routines, the pretending, it all grates against your soul. It's not because you're broken, it's because you're chosen. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." John 10:27. Could it be that what you're hearing in the silence is Him calling you to rise? You tried to blend in, didn't you? You followed the rules, smiled when expected, and pursued what everyone else seemed to want. But something inside you kept whispering. It didn't come from memory. It came from your divine DNA. It's the echo of eternity lodged in your bones. Like Abraham, who was called to leave everything familiar for a promise he couldn't yet see. Genesis 12:1. You've felt the tug toward a place not built by human hands. And then one day, you began to see through it all. You saw the difference between noise and truth. You noticed how many people walk through life asleep, repeating what they've been told, hiding behind roles they never chose. But your eyes stayed open. Do you know why? Because your spirit has already awakened. God didn't send you here to blend in with the fog. He sent you to bring clarity. Like Gideon, who doubted at first but was chosen to break cycles and lead a trembling people into victory. Judges 6:11 through 16. Late at night under a sky full of stars, during walks in the woods or moments of quiet when music moves you to tears, you feel it again, that sacred pull, that divine ache. Sometimes it shows up as a longing so intense you can't breathe. Other times it erupts like holy rage at everything fake, unjust or hollow. It's your spirit rebelling against lies it cannot tolerate. Jeremiah described it like this: "But his word was in my heart, like a burning fire, shut up in my bones." Jeremiah 20, verse 9. Isn't that exactly how it feels sometimes? You might feel alone, misunderstood, even ridiculed for being too intense, too deep, too sensitive. But what if your sensitivity is your strength? What if it's proof that your soul still remembers heaven? The world fears what it cannot control, and you, chosen one, are uncontrollable when you walk in truth. You weren't made to fit inside their cages. You were made to break them. This ancient pulse you carry, it isn't a curse. It's your compass. It's the signature of God inside you, reminding you of the path you're meant to walk. Like David, who was overlooked by men but chosen by God. 1 Samuel 16:7. You may be hidden now, but heaven already knows your name, and the anointing cannot be denied forever. Even in the modern world, there are souls who carry something eternal. Take Malala Yousafzai, for example, the young woman who survived an attempt on her life simply for seeking education. Her voice became a force that awakened the world. She once said, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." Doesn't that remind you of the power that can rest in just one chosen soul, just like you? Could it be that you are the first in 1,000 years to rise instead of run? That in this exact moment you are living out the prophecy your ancestors only dreamed of? The Bible says, "You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people." 1 Peter 2:9. What if this ache inside you is the sign that you're rising exactly when heaven planned? You are not here to conform. You are here to awaken. Not to follow the crowd, but to part it like Moses did with the sea. Let others sleepwalk through life if they choose. But you, God's chosen one, are being stirred awake by the voice of the Almighty. And that voice is calling you not just to remember who you are, but to finally become it. And when the feeling returns, this sacred stirring, you know with every fiber of your being that you've been waiting your entire life for this exact moment. It doesn't crash in like a storm. It moves like a wave of remembrance, soft yet undeniable. Have you ever noticed the signs that kept appearing, those repeating numbers, those dreams you couldn't explain, that quiet certainty that you're here for something greater than the world wants to admit? These weren't coincidences. They were confirmations. You weren't created to chase worldly validation, but to embody spiritual restoration. This isn't about rising in status. This is about rising in spirit. There's a longing inside you to awaken what the world has buried. A divine ember, hidden beneath centuries of noise, is beginning to ignite again. You were born to reignite something sacred, something the modern world cannot understand because it never knew how to protect it. The flame inside you isn't random, it's ancient, it's holy. Have you ever dreamed of places you've never been, or felt connected to faces you've never seen? What if those dreams are fragments of a deeper memory, one that predates your birth? You feel drawn to the stars, to nature, to strange patterns and signs that others overlook. You notice things, the way certain moments seem to align, how a single phrase can pierce your spirit, how even silence seems to speak to you. These are not hallucinations, they are revelations, they are sacred breadcrumbs, guiding you back to the truth you've always known, but were taught to forget. Just like Joseph, who dreamed dreams that seemed foolish to his brothers, Genesis 37, 5-11. You carry visions that feel too big for your environment, but they're not too big for your calling. That strange pull in your spirit, that isn't anxiety, it isn't fantasy, it is the ancient pulse awakening again, not around you, but within you. You are hearing what others cannot because your soul was tuned to a divine frequency long before you could speak. The same power that roared through prophets, through warriors like Deborah and Gideon, through visionaries like Daniel, is beginning to rise in you. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. Romans 8:11. Have you ever dared to believe that you're not just reading stories of the chosen, but that you are one of them? This pulse has waited for centuries. It has lingered through bloodlines, through silence, through exile, waiting for a soul strong enough to hear it and bold enough to respond. It doesn't come for the flawless. It comes for the willing. You may not feel ready, and that's okay. Readiness isn't about perfection. It's about surrender. It's the moment when comfort is traded for calling, when ease gives way to destiny. Like Esther, you've been placed in this time for a reason. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. And now here you are, no longer numb, no longer pretending. You've stopped performing for a world that never saw the real you. You've stopped chasing distractions, and instead, you're choosing depth, presence, truth. That's the real shift. That's the return to the pulse. This is when your soul begins to awaken, not just to who you are, but to why you are. The moment you stopped hiding is the moment heaven began to roar within you. You were never aimless. You were never broken. You were being prepared. That hollow ache you carried wasn't emptiness. It was the echo of your calling. And now the sound is growing louder. The pulse is rising. You can silence it if you choose, drown it with noise or fear, but you already know where that road leads. Or you can follow it. You can step into the mystery, into the fire, into the promise that's always been waiting for your yes. What will you choose? Consider the words of C.S. Lewis, a man who once tried to reason away faith but became one of its greatest defenders. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. What if your soul isn't dreaming something new, but finally remembering something eternal? The choice stands before you now, chosen one. If you say yes to the pulse, everything will begin to change, not because the world changes, but because you finally do. And when you do, the heavens will respond. You find yourself searching, desperate for direction, for a sign, for someone to show you the way. You scan the horizon, longing for a map, a mentor, a well-lit road that guarantees you're headed somewhere safe. But nothing comes. No elder appears to take your hand. No ancient scroll unfurls with neatly drawn lines. Instead, there are only scattered pieces, fragments of insight that flash across your dreams, symbols hidden in the everyday, and patterns that speak not to your logic, but to the deeper layers of your spirit. Why is the way so unclear? Why does the world offer answers to everyone else, while you're left with riddles and echoes. Because, chosen one, you are the map. The world insists that clarity means following a path that's already proven. It tells you that structure, order, and predictability are signs of success. But here you stand, surrounded by uncertainty, and still something within you stirs. Not with fear, but with sacred anticipation. That stirring isn't confusion, it's creation. It's the breath of God moving in your soul, just as it did over the formless waters in the beginning. The earth was formless and empty, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Genesis 1:2. Could it be that what looks like chaos is the raw material of your calling? People may look at your life and say you're lost. They may question your choices, your silence, your refusal to fit into their timelines. But deep down, do you feel something sacred waking up? Something ancient, something real? You wonder why the roads aren't clear, but that's because they were never meant to be. You were never designed to walk in someone else's footprints. You were made to leave your own. Like Abraham, who was told to leave everything behind and go to the land I will show you, without knowing where that land even was. Genesis 12:1. You too are called into the unknown. There is no map, because your destiny has never existed before. What if the silence you're hearing isn't a void, but a blank canvas? What if you're not lost, but being invited to listen more deeply? You see, the world has grown comfortable with playing by inherited rules. It leans on traditions, templates, and techniques. But chosen ones like you weren't sent here to copy. You were sent here to create. This is why conformity suffocates you, why normalcy irritates you, why checklists and formulas feel like cages. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much you try to just be normal, something always pulls you away from the crowd? You were not made to duplicate what already exists. You are here to disrupt the pattern, to reshape what it means to live, to believe, to walk with God. And that's terrifying to a world that idolizes sameness. But take heart. Jesus himself never fit into anyone's mold. He broke traditions, healed on the Sabbath, and taught in ways that defied religious expectations. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. What if the new thing God is doing is beginning in you? At times you may feel as if you're walking through a dense fog, every step uncertain, every choice a leap of faith. But it is precisely in these moments that your spirit begins to expand. What feels like disorientation is often divine training. Like Moses in the wilderness, you're learning to hear God's voice in unfamiliar territory. You're learning to trust your inner compass more than outer instructions. And isn't that where true faith is born? Not in having the answers, but in moving anyway? The blank pages of your life might seem intimidating. No storyline, no plan, no predictable outcome. But what if that's the beauty of it? What if your story is sacred because it hasn't been written before? The path before you is unmarked, not because it's broken, but because you're the first to walk it. Like the explorers who dared to sail across oceans without knowing what lay ahead, you are charting territory not found on any earthly map. And every step you take is an act of prophecy. Steve Jobs, a visionary who changed the world through creativity and conviction, once said, "Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice." He didn't follow a map, he followed a pulse, just like the one inside you. Could it be that your inner voice is the compass, and your willingness to follow it is what will open new worlds, not only for you, but for others? So if the way looks blurry, let it. If no one can explain what you're doing, accept it. Your story was never meant to fit inside the confines of convention. You are not lost, you are becoming. You are not wandering, you are pioneering. The road is unmarked because it was always meant for your feet, not theirs. And the steps you take in faith today will become the path that others will follow tomorrow. You are not lost, and you are certainly not wandering aimlessly. What you are doing is far more sacred. You are laying the first stones of a path that has never existed before. With each step you take into uncertainty, you are shaping something eternal. Yes, there are moments when the weight of not knowing feels unbearable, when the fog seems thicker than your faith. But remember this: true creation always begins in the unknown. Just as God formed the world out of formless void, your new beginning is emerging from the chaos around you. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. Hebrews 11:3. Could the uncertainty you're facing now be the raw material of your divine assignment? The world loves clarity, predictability, and rules. It praises those who stay within the lines and questions anyone who dares to color outside them. You may feel the pressure to find a model to follow, a plan to copy, a strategy that's already worked. But think of the ones who truly changed the world. They didn't rise by walking paths others had drawn. They created roads where there were none. They didn't inherit maps. They became the map makers. Moses didn't know how to part the Red Sea before he stepped forward in faith. Noah had never seen rain before he built the ark. Ruth had no guarantee of provision when she followed Naomi. And yet, each of them moved forward into the unknown, led only by the quiet fire of trust. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. What if the very reason the map doesn't exist is because it's waiting to be written by your obedience? There will always be a temptation to look outward, to search endlessly for a sign, a mentor, or a blueprint that guarantees success. But at some point, you will come face to face with a deeper truth. The most powerful guidance you'll ever receive is already inside you. You are the one you've been waiting for. The still small voice that has whispered to you in moments of silence. The pull in your chest that won't let you settle. The fire in your belly that stirs when you think about your purpose. This is the Holy Spirit awakening you from within. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Could it be that every time you looked for a leader, God was pointing you back to the mirror? The story you long to live, the mission you ache to fulfill. It's not out there, it's written into your very design. It lives in your bloodline, in the dreams of those who came before you, in the anointing that flows through your veins. You were never chosen to imitate, you were chosen to initiate. You're not here to echo someone else's legacy. You're here to create your own. Even when the path ahead seems hidden, trust this: you are not lost. You are in the sacred process of becoming what the world has not yet seen, becoming who heaven always knew you could be. Michelangelo once said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." What if that's what your Creator is doing with you, chiseling away everything you're not until your divine design is revealed? You are not just walking a journey, you are architecting a destiny. You are the artist of your life, crafting something breathtaking with every act of courage, every step taken in faith, every decision to keep going, even when the road disappears beneath your feet. The map you're seeking is not something you'll find hidden in a book or handed down by another. It is something you create with every prayer, every sacrifice, every yes to God's call. As you move, the path will emerge. As you listen, the direction will become clear. But the instructions are often given only to those who dare to move first. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. Not a floodlight for the whole road, but a lamp for one step at a time. Will you take that step, even if you don't yet see the full picture? You were not sent to follow trends, to repeat what's been done, or to wait for permission. You were sent to lead, to break the mold, and to carry a light no one else can. The world needs what only you carry. So go forward, not with fear, but with faith, because even when it seems like there's no path, heaven knows exactly where you're going. As you rise into your calling, as you awaken the divine fire within you, you may notice something unexpected. The darkness rises too. It doesn't vanish. It meets you head on. The moment you begin to remember who you truly are, fear sharpens like a blade. Doubt grows louder, not quieter. Old wounds resurface. Wounds you thought were long healed begin to ache again, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Can you feel it? That holy tension between who you've been and who you're becoming? This is not failure. This is the trial of the Spirit. And the first test begins in the shadows. In this phase, your inner world becomes a battlefield. You begin to see your fears take shape, fears you've long buried, insecurities you've hidden from others, and mistakes you'd rather forget. Each one rises not to destroy you, but to challenge you, to ask you, do you still believe in who God says you are, even when your past tries to argue otherwise? Just as Jesus was tempted in the wilderness after his baptism, Matthew 4:1-11, you too must face the voices that whisper doubt, shame, and unworthiness. But these shadows are not enemies to defeat. They are mirrors. They show you where your faith still wavers. They reveal the places where love needs to heal what fear once claimed. And only by facing these shadows can you step fully into the light of who you were, always meant to be. Then comes the second trial, the trial of silence. This is perhaps the most painful of all. It's not loud like battle, it's quiet like exile. You find yourself in a place where no one understands you. Friends grow distant, encouragement fades, prayers seem unanswered. You cry out to God, and heaven feels still. Have you ever been there? Standing at the crossroads of your purpose, surrounded by silence so thick it feels like abandonment? And yet, this silence is sacred. It is not God's absence, it is God's invitation. Just as Job cried out in anguish yet was being watched with divine attention, Job 23:8-10, you too are being refined in the quiet. The silence is not empty. It is a womb. It is the space where your inner conviction is born. This is where you learn to walk without applause, to trust without clarity, and to believe in your vision even when no one else sees it. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This stillness is not weakness. It is where strength is forged. Then, when you have faced the shadows and endured the silence, comes the final trial, the trial of choice. This is the moment when heaven watches silently as you decide. There are no guarantees, no proof, no signs lighting the path, just a choice. Will you move forward into the unknown, or will you turn back to the safety of the familiar? Like Peter stepping out of the boat to walk on water, Matthew 14:28-29, you must choose whether to risk sinking in faith or stay dry in doubt. The comfort zone calls, the old ways beckon, but the future requires your full surrender. Can you still walk when you can't see the next step? Each time you choose faith over fear, you are passing through fire, not the kind that burns to destroy, but the kind that purifies and prepares. These are not setbacks, they are sacred refinements. Trials are not proof of divine rejection, they are confirmation of divine promotion. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. Isaiah 43:2. What if the darkness surrounding you is not meant to end you, but to elevate you? Even in modern times, great individuals have walked through these hidden valleys. Consider Martin Luther King Jr. His trial wasn't just external. He faced the crushing weight of fear, isolation, and moral decision. He once said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Isn't that what you're being asked to do now? These trials you face are the anvil where your destiny is hammered into form. They refine your character, fortify your resolve, and teach you to lean not on emotion, but on divine truth. They don't make you bitter, they make you better. And when you rise from these trials, you will not just survive, you will emerge transformed. So do not fear the shadows. Do not run from the silence. Do not hesitate at the threshold of choice. The trials of the Spirit are not meant to break you. They are meant to reveal you, and every time you overcome one, you step closer to becoming the vessel God has always seen in you. The world may not recognize what you're becoming yet, but heaven already does. At a certain point in your journey, you arrive at a place unlike any other, a threshold where no map can guide you and no mentor can walk beside you. This sacred crossing is known not in geography, but in the soul. It is what the ancients would call the mirror gate, and every chosen one must stand before it. This is where everything you thought you were begins to dissolve, because at the mirror gate you're not shown who the world told you to be. You are shown who you actually are. Here, you are stripped of every mask you've worn to survive, every expectation pressed onto your shoulders, every false identity you've adopted just to fit in. It all begins to fall away. The reflection staring back at you isn't shaped by your past, your pain, or even your success. It isn't filtered through culture or conformity. It is the pure, undiluted essence of your spirit, the part of you formed by God before the foundations of the world. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Could it be that this is the moment when you finally see what heaven always saw? Standing at the mirror gate is not just a moment of self-reflection, it is a moment of spiritual reckoning. You remember something more than memories. You begin to feel the ancient vow you made long before you entered this world. A promise whispered in eternity's silence, a soul contract signed in the presence of God. A vow to carry the torch passed down through bloodlines, to shatter generational curses that have haunted your family for centuries, and to be the one who rises where others fell. Have you ever wondered why you feel a burden that isn't fully yours? A pain that echoes deeper than your own story? It's because you were born to end what others could not. The mirror gate doesn't just show you who you are, it shows you who you were always meant to become. This isn't about fixing yourself, it's about finding yourself again. You're not a product of trauma. You are the fulfillment of a divine lineage. You were chosen to be the breaker of cycles, the healer of wounds, the restorer of what was lost. Just as Esther was called to save her people in a moment of crisis, you too stand in this time, for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. Will you dare to accept that the calling on your life is bigger than just your comfort? The world has shaped you in ways you never asked for. You've been told who to be, how to behave, where to belong. And yet, here you are, standing in front of the mirror gate, with the opportunity to reclaim every part of yourself that was once surrendered for survival. The world may have molded your habits, but it cannot touch your essence. What you see now is not the sum of your struggles. You are the embodiment of a sacred calling that reaches far beyond this lifetime. This is the moment of self-reclamation, not self-improvement, not self-pity, but a holy uprising within your soul. You don't just face yourself in the mirror, you step into yourself. You step into the truth that's been waiting patiently behind every doubt, every shameful whisper, every lie you were told. The truth that you are not too broken, not too late, not too much, not too far gone. You are exactly who God designed you to be. And He is not surprised by your pain. He is ready to redeem it. Consider the words of Maya Angelou, a woman who faced deep trauma and still rose with the authority of a prophetess. She once said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." Isn't that what you're facing now? The painful process of unlayering everything false so the true you can finally emerge. So here you are, chosen one, standing at the mirror gate, facing the most sacred battle of all, the one between who the world told you to be and who heaven created you to become. And in this moment, you must choose. Will you return to the masks, or will you walk boldly into your truth? Will you shrink back into silence, or will you speak with the voice that was formed in fire? Because once you pass through this gate, you can't go back. And deep down, you don't want to. You've carried too many burdens that were never yours. You've been silenced too many times. You've dimmed your light long enough. Now is the time to rise, not just as a survivor, but as a sovereign soul. You were never just a product of your past. You are the living proof that the line of suffering ends with you. And when you accept who you really are, unfiltered, unafraid, unveiled, the entire universe begins to respond. Because you didn't just stand at the gate, you became it. In that quiet, sacred space beyond the veil, where the world's noise fades and only truth remains, you finally claim every part of yourself that had been buried, rejected, or forgotten. You welcome the version of you that was once silenced. You embrace your divine essence, not just your gifts, but also your flaws, your questions, your tears, and you hold it all with a love so fierce, so holy, that it reverberates through your very bones. This is not just self-acceptance. This is divine remembrance. For the first time, you see yourself not through the eyes of others, not through judgment or comparison, but as God has always seen you, fearfully and wonderfully made. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Psalm 139:14. Isn't this the moment your soul has been waiting for? And in that fierce, tender love, something ancient awakens. A dormant fire, long buried under shame and silence, bursts into flame. The name you carry, one you may have thought ordinary or meaningless, now begins to hum with divine resonance. You sense its hidden meaning, its spiritual weight. The name heaven knows you by is not just a sound. It's a signature, a declaration, a mantle. And suddenly, the stories of your ancestors rise within you, their victories, their prayers, their unfinished songs. They are in your breath, your bones, your blood. You are the continuation of a legacy heaven has never forgotten. Even the scars you once tried to hide now glow. What once brought you shame now becomes sacred evidence of your becoming. Each wound is not a weakness, it is a witness, a mark of where you've been broken, healed, and remade. Like Christ's resurrected body still bearing the scars of the cross, John 20:27, your scars tell a story of power, of purpose, of divine survival. Have you begun to see that your scars are not the end of your story, but the proof that you are still writing it? This is the moment everything comes full circle. The pain, the heartbreak, the confusion, the isolation, it all takes shape. What once felt like punishment is now revealed as preparation. Like Joseph, betrayed and imprisoned only to be elevated to power for a purpose far greater than himself. Genesis 50:20. You realize that everything served a divine intention. You were always meant to arrive here, to stand before the mirror gate, to gaze into the soul that eternity formed, and to recognize the warrior that you are. This is where the veil is lifted, where you stop seeking outside validation and finally see. You see that you've never been behind, never been broken beyond repair. You've been in a refining process, a sacred fire that burns away illusions and reveals your truth. And as you step away from the mirror gate, you don't just return changed, you return reborn. You walk no longer as someone finding your way, but as someone sent. Now you move with power, but it is not loud, performative power. It is quiet, unshakable authority, the kind that shifts atmospheres when you enter a room, the kind that causes darkness to retreat because light has entered. You carry a presence that transcends time and space because it was never about status or image. It was always about alignment with divine purpose. You are now ready to walk forward, not just as a person, but as a force of nature, unstoppable, unshakable, not because you are perfect, but because you are anchored in truth, in love, in God. Greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:4. Can you feel that? The shift from survival to destiny. The mirror gate was not merely a passage, it was your rebirth. It was the holy ground where your fragmented self was gathered and crowned, and through it you rise, not just for yourself, but for every soul that is waiting to see what becoming truly looks like. You rise for those who couldn't, for those who hoped, for the generations still to come. This is your moment, chosen one, not to become someone new, but to remember who you've always been. And now you walk forward in full alignment with heaven, with truth, with yourself. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey that is not marked by fanfare or applause, but by a holy breaking. This breaking does not signal failure or despair. It is not the end of you. In fact, it is the beginning. It is the cracking open of everything false, everything borrowed, everything you once believed you had to be in order to survive. It is the moment when the version of you shaped by fear, silence, and shame begins to collapse. But do you know what happens when those walls fall? The light that's been trapped inside finally begins to shine. This breaking is sacred. It's not destruction, it's deliverance. Like a seed that must break open before new life can grow, something inside you had to shatter in order for your true identity to rise. Jesus said in John 12:24, "Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." What if your breaking is not about loss, but about multiplication? What if God is using this exact moment to birth something far greater through you? You've carried versions of yourself for years, versions that were never truly you. The people pleaser, the overachiever, the quiet one who didn't speak up, the one who stayed small to avoid conflict, to stay liked, to stay safe. But now, something in you refuses to wear those masks any longer. Have you felt that shift lately? That holy discomfort with who you used to be? These were identities shaped not by your spirit, but by survival. You created them because the world taught you that being real was too dangerous. But the fire within you, the calling, the vision, the anointing, has grown too large for those false containers. The walls you built to protect yourself are now the very things keeping you from becoming yourself. And so they must fall. And when they do, there is no need for guilt or shame. This is not a rejection of your past. It is a redemption of your soul. This transformation is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Like the prodigal son in Luke 15:17, who came to himself in the pig pen, you are returning to the original design, the you that God saw before the world told you otherwise. Can you feel it? The true you is emerging from beneath the dust of approval-seeking and conformity. And that version was crafted by divine hands, not human expectations. You begin to stop apologizing for your power. You stop shrinking in rooms that cannot handle your light. You stop betraying your spirit for the comfort of others. You no longer play small just to be accepted. You stop waiting for permission. This is when you step boldly into your truth, fully aware that some will misunderstand you, but no longer willing to dim the fire inside to make others feel safe. Think of Esther. She hid her identity for a season, but there came a time when she had to reveal who she truly was to fulfill her purpose. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Have you asked yourself that? What if all the breaking, all the shedding, all the hidden seasons were preparing you for this exact moment? Real-world leaders have known this process too. Maya Angelou, a poet, activist, and soul that carried great depth, once said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. Just like her, you are undergoing a transformation that may feel messy, uncertain, even painful, but it is producing wings. Can you trust the process enough to believe that beauty is on the other side of this breaking? This becoming cannot be rushed. It is not a costume you put on for the world. It is forged in silence, in solitude, in sacred discomfort. But with every layer that falls away, with every lie you release, you rise clearer, stronger, and more aligned with heaven's original design for you. You were never meant to fit into the world's molds. You were created to carry the likeness of the Creator himself. And now you are beginning to see that the very things that once broke you have become the soil in which your truth takes root. The tears, the trials, the shedding, they were not signs of weakness. They were confirmations that you were shedding the false and stepping into the holy. You are not a victim of your story. You are the vessel God chose to transform it. So do not fear the breaking. Do not resist the becoming. This is what it looks like when God reclaims his own. You, chosen one, are being reborn, not as a new creation made for man's applause, but as the original soul heaven designed, finally walking free. In this sacred moment of becoming, you begin to understand a truth far greater than yourself. You are not simply the product of your own choices, wounds, or victories. You are the fulfillment of generations of hopes, tears, and whispered prayers. Long before you were born, your ancestors walked through fire with your name on their lips. They endured storms, survived injustice, and carried dreams too large for their own lifetimes. Dreams that have now found their way into yours. Have you ever wondered why you feel the weight of things you never lived through? Why certain battles feel ancient, as if they didn't begin with you? That's because they didn't. You are the continuation of a divine story, a chosen soul who was seen and spoken of in sacred moments when no one else was listening. Your ancestors prayed for a redeemer in the bloodline, for someone to rise above fear, addiction, poverty, and silence, for someone to carry the flame forward, not just for themselves, but for all who came before. And here you are, not just surviving, but awakening. You are the living answer to prayers whispered under oppression, to songs sung in secret, to hopes held in trembling hands. Like Joseph rising to power in Egypt to redeem a broken family, Genesis 50:20, you have become the vessel through which generational purpose is being fulfilled. This is not your fall. This is not the end of your story. This is your emergence. Your soul is being reborn, not into something unfamiliar, but into the fullness of who you've always been beneath the noise and expectations. This is the unveiling of your divine design, your true strength, your unshakable voice, your eternal purpose. It's all coming alive. Paul wrote in Romans 8:19, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." Could it be that creation itself has been waiting for you to remember who you are? This transformation is not just emotional, it is spiritual, ancestral, cosmic. You're not just healing from your past, you're setting a new future in motion. As the layers fall away, doubt, fear, people-pleasing, self-denial, you discover your resilience is not fragile, but forged. In the breaking, you learn the shape of your soul. In the fire, you uncover the weight of your anointing. You are no longer bound by the lies you inherited. You're no longer defined by what tried to silence you. You're rising, not as a shadow of someone else's expectations, but as the whole, unfiltered, radiant version of yourself that heaven intended. Consider Harriet Tubman, a woman born into slavery who became a deliverer of hundreds. Though she could not read or write, she said, "I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger." She knew she was guided by a force higher than fear. Like her, you are guided by something divine, something unstoppable. You are becoming the breaker of chains, chains you didn't choose, but were born to destroy. You are the one they prayed for, the one they hoped might come, the one who would finally say, "It ends with me." Can you feel the eyes of heaven watching with awe as you step into the role? You are not just carrying your own destiny, you are carrying their deliverance too. This is the moment when the sacrifices of the past become the seeds of your power. You are not just walking for yourself, you walk for those who could not. You speak for those whose voices were taken. You rise for those who were pushed down. This is not just a personal victory, it is the culmination of centuries of suffering redeemed through one life fully awakened. You are the branch from a tree planted long ago, now bearing the fruit that will feed future generations. God promised in Isaiah 61:3 to give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Isn't that exactly what is happening to you right now? And as you rise, you carry not just a calling, but a sacred responsibility. A deep knowing that your journey is part of a greater movement, that your healing is not just for your heart, but for your entire lineage. You are the first in your bloodline to walk in freedom with this kind of clarity. The one anointed to shatter the old structures and build something holy in their place. The one who walks into rooms not just with wisdom, but with legacy in your stride. You were always meant for this. You were always meant to be the turning point in the story, the moment of divine interruption, the force of transformation. And as you rise from the ashes of your breaking, you rise crowned, not by the world's applause, but by heaven's purpose. You are the promise fulfilled, the battle cry answered, the legacy made flesh. This is the becoming, and it was written in your bones long before the world tried to name you. You rise, but not like the world expects. Your rising is not a spectacle, not an explosion of noise or celebration. Instead, it is sacred and steady, unfolding in the quiet chambers of your soul. It does not come with flashing lights or crowds cheering your name. And yet, there is something undeniably powerful about it. Your rise echoes, not through volume, but through vibration. Have you noticed how, even without trying, your presence begins to shift the air around you? This rising doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. Not by arrogance, but by authenticity. You no longer seek applause or validation. Like Jesus, who often healed in secret and withdrew to pray in solitude, your power comes from your inner stillness. The world may not see the battles you fought in private, but they will recognize the strength you've earned through them. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. Your reward is not a crown from men, but the authority to walk in spiritual dominion. Each step you take now is different. There is weight in your walk. You no longer move like someone trying to be chosen. You move like someone who knows they already are. Your energy speaks before your words do. You carry the unshakable calm of someone who has been to the edge, faced the darkness, and chose light anyway. Where does this confidence come from? It comes from fire that didn't consume you. It comes from knowing what tried to break you only built you. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who walked through the furnace untouched, Daniel 3:27, your rise is marked by the miraculous. You speak differently now. Your voice is not loud, but it pierces. You speak with fire, not of anger, but of refined wisdom, the kind of fire that only comes after walking through the valley of shadows and choosing not to stay there. Psalm 23:4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Your words now carry this truth. People hear your story, and they know God was with you in the shadows. But here is the mystery. As you rise, others begin to awaken too. Though they may not be able to name it, they feel it. Your presence begins to unlock something in them. They start to question the limitations they accepted. Why? Because your courage becomes their mirror. Your boldness becomes their permission. The chains you've broken for yourself echo into the souls of others who have been waiting for someone to go first. Your rise is not self-centered. It is catalytic. The awakening that happens in you becomes a spark for others. Like Deborah in the book of Judges, who rose not only as a prophetess but as a leader of a nation, your voice stirs people from their slumber. Village life ceased. It ceased in Israel until I, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. Judges 5:7. Isn't that what you're doing now? Causing life to rise again in places that had gone numb? You are disrupting timelines, not just spiritually, but generationally. By refusing to run, by refusing to hide, you are shifting the very structure of history. What was once a cycle of silence, fear, and complacency is being broken by your decision to stand in truth. You are like Esther, who altered the fate of her people by showing up fully in a moment of divine alignment. Have you considered that your quiet yes to God may be rescuing more lives than you'll ever see? And this transformation is not confined to your lifetime. Your rise reaches both backward and forward. Every boundary you break liberates someone who came before you and someone who will come after you. One generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. Psalm 145:4. As you walk forward, you are declaring with your life that the chains of the past do not own the future. Real-world revolutionaries have walked this same quiet path. Rosa Parks did not shout. She simply refused to stand. And with that single quiet act of rising in truth, she shifted the course of a nation. Like her, you don't have to scream to bring change. You only have to stand. Every firm step you take now sends ripples into eternity. Your refusal to compromise, your decision to stand in integrity, your alignment with God's purpose. Each choice is a thread being woven into a divine legacy. This is the rise that echoes. It is the rise of those who walk not to impress, but to liberate. Not to be seen, but to reveal. Not to boast, but to become. You are not rising alone. Heaven rises with you. The earth responds beneath your feet. Generations align behind you, and a world waiting for light begins to stir, because someone dared to walk in theirs. So keep rising, chosen one, not loudly, but undeniably, not hastily, but faithfully. You are not just walking in power, you are walking as prophecy fulfilled. The legacy you are shaping right now does not belong to you alone. It is bigger than your name, your lifetime, or your story. It belongs to those whose blood runs through your veins, those who came before you and those who will come after you. Your rise is not simply about personal destiny, it is about sacred continuity. Have you ever paused to consider that every courageous step you take today is an answer to the silent cries of generations before you? You are not rising just for yourself. You are rising on behalf of the 1,000 years behind you, on behalf of the grandmothers who never got to speak their truth, the fathers who carried shame in silence, the children who died with their dreams still locked in their chests. You rise for them. You rise because they couldn't. You rise because they whispered prayers in the dark, asking God to send someone strong enough, awake enough, obedient enough to end what they could not. They were not forgotten, and neither are you. But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him, and his righteousness unto children's children. Psalm 103, verse 17. You are that child. You are the fulfillment of what they sowed in tears. You are the one they prayed for in languages long lost, under skies thick with sorrow, behind doors of oppression. You are the one who carries their wildest hopes not as a burden, but as a birthright. And you don't just rise for the past. You rise for the 1,000 years to come. You rise for the children not yet conceived, for the sons and daughters who will walk this earth long after your name has faded from memory. You are laying a foundation with your faith, a sacred architecture upon which future generations will build. You are becoming the ancestor that generations ahead will thank in their prayers. Can you feel the weight of that divine responsibility? Like Abraham, who was told, "Through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed," Genesis 22:18. Your obedience is not confined to your moment in history. It stretches across time. It transcends bloodlines. The courage you show today is the freedom they will inherit tomorrow. What chains you break now, they will never even have to see. You are building a future more awake, more free, more aligned with the divine truth you are embodying right now. And as you rise, you do not rise alone. Heaven rises with you. The prayers of your ancestors rise with you. The hope of future generations rides upon your shoulders, not as a burden, but as a mantle of glory. You are not merely surviving, you are trailblazing. Each step you take clears a path in the spiritual wilderness, a glowing trail of light that others will follow, and those who follow you may never know your full story. But they will walk in your footsteps and feel the sacred shift your life created. You are indeed the first in 1,000 years to rise, not run. And this isn't a private victory, it's a cosmic awakening. You are not just transforming your own life, you are reshaping the story of your lineage. Like Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers but rose to save a nation, your elevation is not about revenge, it's about redemption. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to save many lives. Genesis 50:20. You are the redemption. Think of Malala Yousafzai again, a young girl who risked her life for the right to be educated. She didn't fight for herself alone. She rose for millions of girls who had no voice. And now her legacy lights the way for a future she may never fully see. Aren't you doing the same in your own sacred way? Your rise echoes across time. It calls the sleeping awake. It lifts the broken-hearted. It reminds the forgotten that God has not abandoned them. You are the proof that the cycle can end, that the light can win, that love can rise where fear once ruled. So stand tall, chosen one. You are the intersection of past promises and future prophecy. You are the echo of ancient prayers and the voice of tomorrow's deliverance. You are not here by chance. You were always meant for this. This is your rise, and it will echo through eternity. The war may still be raging in the unseen realms, but something extraordinary has already begun. The shift didn't happen with trumpet blasts or lightning bolts. It wasn't declared by kings or announced in headlines. It began the moment you chose to rise. And with that choice, quiet, steady, unwavering, a new age was set into motion. Not the age of chaos, but the age of light. And it begins with you. It wasn't your circumstances that changed the world. It was your decision. You stood when it would have been easier to collapse. You chose truth when lies were more convenient. You embraced light even when surrounded by shadows. That choice, the one you made in stillness with no one watching, was heard in heaven. And though the earth may not applaud, its foundations have shifted because of your obedience. Can you feel it? That quiet ripple moving through time, reshaping destinies. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. This is not poetic language, it is your reality. You are the dawn breaking through generations of darkness. The revolution you are leading does not roar with violence or echo through headlines. It whispers through lives transformed by your quiet faithfulness. Your refusal to be moved has become a spiritual earthquake. And yes, the world won't always see it, Many are still slumbering under heavy veils of fear and programming. They walk as if they are powerless, clinging to old identities that were never truly theirs. They believe they are too small, too broken, too ordinary to matter. And because they do not understand the rise within you, they may dismiss you, mock you, fear you. But what if their resistance is only confirmation that you're disrupting the very systems meant to keep them asleep? Even Jesus was rejected in his own hometown, not because he lacked power, but because the people could not recognize the shift he carried. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town. Mark 6:4. Don't let their blindness stop you. Your value is not found in applause. Your mission is not validated by their approval. Your power comes from alignment, not with the world, but with heaven. You are no longer rising for recognition. You rise because you cannot remain hidden. You rise because the light in you refuses to be dimmed. This is not ego, it is obedience. You rise because you must, because there is something holy burning in your bones that demands expression, because God has chosen you to carry the first flame of a new era. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. What if your rising is the signal others have been praying for? Somewhere, far from your reach, a child will dream bigger because of the courage you carried. They may never know your name, but they will feel your ripple. They will grow up believing they can speak, create, love, and lead, because your life made that reality visible. Somewhere, a weary soul will take one more step forward because your example lit the path in front of them. Isn't that worth everything? Real change never begins with crowds. It begins with conviction. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., a man who faced ridicule, threat, and opposition at every turn, yet refused to back down. He said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that." You carry that same assignment, to drive out darkness not with aggression, but with relentless light. Your light will not touch every corner of the world, but it will reach the corners assigned to you. And that is enough. Because where your light shines, something awakens. Hope stirs. Chains weaken. Stories begin to shift. Have you ever considered that your obedience is activating the faith of someone you'll never meet? You are not merely one among many. You are the beginning of something eternal. The age of light doesn't wait for the world to approve. It begins when one chosen soul says yes to their divine call. You are that soul. You are not just changing history, you are correcting it. You are not just stepping into purpose, you are igniting purpose in others. So rise boldly, chosen one, whether they see it or not, whether they celebrate you or not. Your life is a prophecy in motion, and the age of light, the one that heals, restores, redeems, and reawakens, has already begun. It begins with your rise, and it will not end with you. The fulfillment of prophecy doesn't arrive in a flash of lightning or a single earth-shaking moment. It's not marked by a date on the calendar or a grand ceremony for the world to see. It is written slowly, intentionally, through the everyday movements of your life. Every decision you make in alignment with truth. Every act of courage when fear tries to silence you. Every time you choose to rise instead of run. That is how the divine story unfolds. Not once, but over and over again, in the faithful rhythm of your becoming. This prophecy is not written in scrolls or carved into monuments. It is engraved into the hearts of those who see your journey, the quiet ones who are watching, waiting for a sign that rising is still possible. Have you ever thought about how many lives are tethered to your rise? How your endurance, even when unseen, is breathing new courage into someone else's soul? You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. 2 Corinthians 3:3. You are the living scripture they will read. Not all will understand it, but the ones who need it will never forget it. You were never meant to run, chosen one. You were not called to shrink back or blend into shadows. You were never designed to play small or to settle for silence. You were made to blaze, to lead, to carry light through valleys others fear to enter. The world has always needed you, even if it never knew how to ask. It needed the truth you carry in your bones, the strength shaped by your trials, and the unshakable spirit that refused to break. The moment you chose to rise, even if your knees trembled, even if no one saw it, that was the moment the age of light began. Like the first sliver of dawn stretching across a weary sky, your decision set something in motion. It may have felt small, even invisible, but do not mistake subtlety for weakness. The shift you created cannot be reversed. Just as the night cannot withstand the coming of the morning, darkness cannot silence the rise that has begun through you. What if your rise is heaven's answer to 1,000 years of silent prayers? What if your light is the spark that sets off a chain reaction far beyond your lifetime? This world is not the same because you chose to stand. The chains that held your lineage have snapped. The ceilings that limited your voice have shattered. You have ignited a fire that no wind can put out. And this rise, it was never just for you. It was for us all. The light you carry now moves like waves across generations. It finds the broken-hearted, the overlooked, the silenced, and whispers, "You too can rise." It travels through stories, through art, through whispered conversations and acts of love. It sparks in quiet rooms and crowded streets. It finds the lonely. It finds the next chosen one. As you walk in your calling, others will find the courage to walk in theirs. You are not a lone flame. You are the match that lights the forest. You are the first, but not the last. And though you may never witness the full bloom of what you've begun, trust that the seeds you've planted in light will flourish in glory. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Proverbs 4:18. Your path has become a radiant trail for others to follow. It is no longer a question of whether the world will change. It already has. The war may continue, but the battlefield looks different now. Light is no longer the underdog. It is the new wave, the dominant force. And you were chosen to initiate it. This is not just inspiration. It is instruction. Rise every day as though the world depends on it, because in many ways it does. The future is no longer being written in the ink of fear. It is being illuminated by the fire of the Spirit that burns within you. So take your place, not just in history but in destiny. The age of light is not coming, it has begun, and it began the moment you rose. As you rise, understand that this moment is not a mere coincidence. You are the first in 1,000 years to awaken in such a profound way. You are walking the path of purpose that has been hidden for generations, waiting for someone like you to step into it. The world has been shaped by those who were chosen to rise, not run. And now it is your turn. It is not an accident that you are hearing this message today, for you are destined for greatness. Chosen by God to break through barriers and bring light where there was once darkness. Your rise is not just for you, it is for the generations that will follow, the ones who will look at you and say, "If they can rise, so can I." You are the living testimony of God's promise, His promise to equip you, His promise to strengthen you, and His promise to elevate you beyond the limitations the world once tried to place on you. Now, if this message has stirred something in your soul, I encourage you to support our mission of spreading God's truth by donating through Super Thanks. Your financial support will help us continue sharing this divine message with those who are ready to receive it. But know this, your contribution, whether financial or through your engagement, is appreciated beyond measure. Whether you donate or simply take the time to like, comment and share, I am incredibly thankful for your presence and participation. Your likes, comments, shares and subscriptions play an essential role in growing this community of believers. Each action helps us bring more light, more truth, and more hope to those who need it most. So please, don't hesitate to leave a comment and let us know how this message has impacted you. Your voice matters, and it helps us strengthen the faith of those around us. May God continue to pour His abundant blessings into your life. May you feel His presence with every step you take, and may your journey be filled with the peace, joy, and strength that only He can provide. Remember, you are God's chosen one. Keep rising, keep walking in His light, and trust that the best is yet to come. Stay blessed and know that you are loved beyond measure.